Good evening, everybody. Are you fine today? We believe you are. Thank you for coming. But will I be making a mistake if I assume that you came here tonight to actually get something? Will I be making a mistake? Or that will be the right assumption? All right, another question. Are you really sure you are ready to do what it takes? You don't need to answer. Another question. What did you come here tonight for? I'm afraid, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm afraid you might have come for church. That is one thing I hope is not true. I hope you didn't just come for church tonight, but I really hope that you've come to be changed. You see, when we keep on coming to church all the time, we are not really ready to change it anymore. We just come, and go. We could come and get excited a little bit, have yet another experience. Some little more things to talk about. But still, we know, well, even if it doesn't work out as good as we think, we could still come back next Sunday and have a better one. So, will church therefore be to us like club is to the junkies? So why do we go to church? Do I go to church to affect a change so that I could go out of the church and affect a change in my generation? Or I go to church to have some good feeling and goose for myself? Well, people do different other things to have those good feelings and the goose, apart from going to church. So who tells us we are better than those who, for example, go to the casinos, to the club, use drugs, alcohol? They also want to get the same result, feel a little more better about themselves. If you come to church for the same reason, well, who told you are better? You might be religious and they are secular, but really, we're in the same category. Some of you are young. You don't need to waste your life living like that. Make a decision for yourself to live, to make a mark on your generation. Come to church Only if you are sure it's going to help you, it's going to push you, it's going to equip you to make a difference. If it's just going to be egocentric and just going to be about you feeling a little bit good, having another experience, you can do that all life, and yet you've not changed anybody. That is called masturbation. Spiritual masturbation. Get yourself satisfied. Yeah, we know what it is. But we don't want to admit it to ourselves. After all, we think we are doing God's service. Religion is a bad thing. I agree with Marx and Engels. Now, when it comes to religion, it's just another drugs, dupe, to get good feeling, to get off a little bit of stress, to feel better, and to come back again to feel more better, and to come back again and use God for your own satisfaction. Pornography. Then we think we are holy. Then we go out and condemn those who get their own satisfaction in another way. Yeah. We might be in a bigger trouble than we thought. So what is all this about? Well, let me tell you something. Jesus showed us what it should be about. Came focused, and his focus was, I'm living to change my world. I die to change the world after me. I live to change the world. The apostles, they got the message, and they lived right. Practiced the Christian faith right. For example, one of them said, for me to live is Christ. For me to die is gain. It's never a loser. For him to live is changing the world for Christ. When he dies, even in his death, he has left things in place. His writings, his impact, that will continue to change the world and shape history, even in death. Those are lives. Have you ever thought what your life would be about? Not much. So what is this all about? Well, I tell you what, if it's worth living at all, then it should be lived to make a difference. What a waste. You think you have a small country? Yeah, really it's not too big. But even with your population, we just have few people who are actually living. You know what the rest are doing? They are existing and they are surviving. You bury them every day. If you don't notice, nobody tells you that. But I will tell you the truth. And one day they will do the same thing to you. Then we expect to give birth to others that we will eventually bury. Then give birth to others that do some things, activities, or life, but no difference. I guess you begin to understand Solomon. May your life not be vanity. In Jesus' name. That's why I stopped going to preach in churches. Because I know they are not serious. They need another guest speaker to give them some more goods. They don't need me. Many of them are walking around the city or around the world, flying about and making and getting entertained and entertainment and all that. I come because I want to believe. There are people here who really want to get the message. That people here don't just want to exist any longer. They want to begin to live. Will you do something about it? That is another challenge. Because we are spoiled for the good. Come to the church. What a great message. Only to go out and forget about it. That's the problem. And that's why I don't go to preaching churches again. I don't have years to waste. I have years to consolidate. Will you do something about it? About your existence? And about the value and the essence of your life? Will it be profitable? Will it be fruitful? Will it bring results? Will it change something? Would it leave a mark? Well, this church is a great church. As a church. Because you have done something that is totally unprecedented and unusual. You are very successful already as a local church. Don't doubt it. Your pastors have done a wonderful job. Because I've not seen so many places with such a little population, yet with such a big church of impact. Church of impact. Not too many people have done that anywhere in the world. But alas, you cannot afford to remain on that level of achievement. You've done well as a local church. Now, you don't need to prove anything on the church level anymore. Let's take on ourselves a new challenge. What could this challenge be? Let's take on ourselves the challenge of trying to challenge a nation. then everything about you changes. Everything about trying to build a church, trying to keep people going and coming changes. You want to talk to the nation and you want to be heard. While changing each person at a time and also addressing a nation. Do you think we could go for it? It is so easy to get lost in the mundane things of life. Very easy. And you don't even realize it. Just going through the system, just going through the what? Process. Then you discover, I'm sick. I'm dead. It's finished. Oh, how fast? You ask every old person here. They don't believe it that they are old. They can't believe it that they have lived 70 years already. They are feeling they just started living yesterday. You ask every 60-year-old person, 80-year-old person, they can't believe how fast the time has gone. They feel they just started living. Just like you too feel. Even if you are 20. You know you have not started living yet. 20, you don't know. You have not even started yet. Even if you are 40, you know, I'm not, no, 40, no, I've not even started yet. But you cannot deny the figures. What is that telling us? Life is being wasted away every day. There are three kinds of life you can live, my friend. There are three things you can do with your life. The number one thing is what most people do with life. You know what they do with it? They waste it. How many people are like that in our churches today? Majority, 90%. Good for nothing. Only good to go to heaven. But we don't want you to be too heavenly good and be earthly useless. We want you to be good everywhere. But unfortunately, we are not being challenged to stop wasting the greatest value in life. Your very life. Because the world system is built in such a way for your life to tickle away without you noticing it. But we don't see that. We don't notice that. As far as I feel good today, it doesn't matter if I will not be here tomorrow. Nobody tells you you will not be here tomorrow. So we end up being in the same bunch as unbelievers. People wasting lives. The second thing you can do with life and that is what the secular people do. We too do the same thing. And I think they might even be smarter by doing that. You know what they do with life? They spend it. Some waste life. Some spend life. There is a third option. So, what are you doing with your life? Wasting it? Spending it? You know, the people who spend life, they go to the to the casino, they go to to the bars, to go to all night clubs, they go to discotheque, they just spend, they just burn their life. You want to get the best from life as far as you go for sex, they go for anything. Just want to, they know they are going to die. They want to try to spend it, to try to make use of it, to try to get something out of it. They are going to hell, and they know about it, but they want to spend it. So what is the third thing we can do with life? The third thing we can do with life is to invest it. Some of us will never do that. We either spend our lives, come to church just to spend life. Because when you come to church to feel good, it's the same thing as the people going to casino to feel good. Just spend life. About yourself. Just to feel good. It's just about you. Just spending. You are enjoying life. You see. That is why I cannot afford to think like other people. I've understood too much. I know too much. Solomon was very smart, very wise. And he told us about himself that his mistake about life was he thought life was to be spent. Then he came to the same conclusion the people who wasted life came to. Vanity. The only thing worth living for, my friend, is to give your life for others. It's called investment. Because you reap it in heaven. And you don't go to heaven empty. You go with generations of people. You see what Jesus is? You see what Jesus, you know what Jesus did? He didn't see any sense in living to be 70. What? Oh, I shouldn't leave the stage. You're right. I wanted to give high five to Pastor. You see. So Jesus didn't think it's logical to live to be 70. And now, if your son tells you or your daughter that Papa, I want to die at 40 or at 30. Oh, what do you say? What's wrong with you? Who told you? Recount that. You can't do that. You can't say that. Don't do that. You become panic and hysterical because he says he's going to die. He wants to die at 40. We think that is crazy. Jesus doesn't think the same thing. He knows what the value of life. So he says, I don't need to live to be 70. He understood one thing about life. Life could either be wasted, be spent, or be invested. It shows the last one. But we are so egocentric, we cannot give. We want to be giving. We only want to receive. But Jesus knew what he taught us in Acts. It is more blessed. It's more blessed to give. So it doesn't. He was right. There was no sense in living to be 70 because it's more blessed to give. Oh my. Anyway, that might be too much for you. Give your life. That's the essence of life. You don't need to die. You don't need to be crucified. He's already been crucified. You don't need to die at 33. He's already done it. But give your life now to people. Give your life to humanity. Give your life every day. Spend and be spent for people. There is a satisfaction in it. Say, go and, he said, love the Lord with all your might, all your strength, and all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. Go and do this. Go and love people with all your might, right? With all your strength, with all your soul. Go and love people like that. That proves your love for God. Go and do this, then you shall live. Life is about that, you see. Those are the people who live. So can you imagine why I am so crazy? I am not normal. That is what people think about me sometimes. My critics, the atheists and the religious people. And they are right. I cannot know as much as I know and be normal. Because too much mundane and mediocre around us. Mediocrity around us. And everybody is just on that level. I cannot but be a rebel. But with a cost though. I cannot see the deception of the world system and fold my hands and wash them. Because I see. Please, don't just leave this meeting and think you came to another conference. And don't you think, having listened to me today, or yesterday, or day before yesterday, or today, this afternoon, or anytime, that you've listened to me just speaking here in the church, that you got the message? You don't. Even now, you're hearing me, and you think you got it, you got the message? Self-deception. Of course, you are hearing while you're here. But that doesn't mean you will begin to live by it until it becomes flesh in you. So that's what makes us traditional, average, regular. And because it has not become flesh in you, it's just an impression. And an impression is the lowest form of knowledge. Wisdom is the highest form. And wisdom is the applied with knowledge. So for you to be able to gain wisdom out of what I'm saying and to be able to apply it into your life, you must minimum listen to it 4 times. That is why every word of Jesus, every message of Jesus had to be duplicated 4 times in the Gospels. Because until you listen to any message 4 times, you have not even heard it. But for you to get it, because of the attention that comes against us, because of all the information that we have in our generation, you need to listen to every message at least 7 times in our generation. 7 times before it could become flesh. Now, why do you need the word to become flesh? Because you need the grace and the truth that the word contains. The grace makes you to be able to live it, and the truth of that word sets you free. But until that happens, it's as good as you didn't hear anything. The only thing you will remember after 1 year is that, oh, we remember that guy. Yeah, he speaks well. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I will remember. And you are back in square one. That's why when you come to our church, you see the sale of cassettes, books. You see, when after service, you see line, 200, 500, 1,000 people lining up, struggling to buy tapes. And by that, we are going to control the world tomorrow. Because the man that is diligent, he said, the hand of the diligent shall rule. Find a man for me that will be diligent. He will rule. So we'll rule tomorrow because of the attitude we have today. Well, I know some of you are lost. Sitting down there and pretending you're getting something. But I'm not ruling you out. I'm not writing you off yet. Because maybe you could get home and get the tape. Yeah. So, back to the original question. What are we going to do with our lives? What are we going to do with our lives? Spend it? Burn it? Waste it? Are you sure you're going to invest it? Are you really sure? Well, you know the way that is demonstrated? Only in actions. You could say, yeah, I take the decision to invest my life. Yeah, I will not burn my life. I will not waste it. Yeah, for sure, I will not waste my life again. Yeah, there is a wake-up call for me. Yeah, I'm going to do something different. But until you really begin to do, you get yourself fired up continuously until you begin to do. It's as good as you've never heard it. That's why I brought all those material and products we brought. You know, I know that in North America, people are selling products to make money. Forget about that. That's why I'm putting 50 messages in 2 CDs to just sell at the price of 2. I'm not after. Everything will perish. It's rubbish. But the life that I give you, I know what life is. Yeah, that is why. So people think I'm foolish. So people say, Pastor Sunday, why should you ever do that? You're spoiling the market. Yeah, that is your understanding. I have a superior understanding. So that's why we put 8 films in one DVD and sell it at the price of 1. Why? We want to scatter your comfort. We want to wake you up. We want to unruffle you. We want to spoil you for the good. We want you to do something for you that will make you crazy and decide to do something about your life. We want to frustrate you until you begin to realize what life is about. And that's why I'm taking time to talk about all these my books. Because I know it's not getting to you. Because you are thinking I'm doing marketing. And you think you have enough books at home. I know you. The bad ones have blocked the way for ordinary people. You know, that's what Jesus said. He said, you are not going in. And you have taken the key of knowledge from those who want to go in. Because of the people that are doing things wrong, we are suspicious. So we have blocked the road for ourselves to become fulfilled. So when we come in touch with something real, skepticism has killed us. We cannot overcome our skepticism. We're in trouble. We're a generation of doubters. So I will not even talk about these books again. I leave tomorrow. You don't get it. You don't get the tapes. You don't get the CDs. You don't get the books. Well, when it gets to you, you will need to pay $2,000 just to get the air flight to come and get it come and buy the books in Kiev. And you will say, but he was here with us. He spoke about those books. Wow, why is it I didn't get it? You are too smart. Because we think we are smart. Because we are trying to retain our $2 in the pocket. You are too smart. You will think we are smart when we refuse to get wisdom and retain paper. We think we are smart and we got a deal when we keep our leaves and wood. You know what leaves and wood are? Money. They are processed wood, painted in color and written figures on. But wisdom produces both physical material things and spiritual eternal gains. My God. That's why God says the wisdom of this world is total, absolute foolishness in the sight of God. So we think we are smart. And God says, not really. Oh my God. Wow. Ed Dixon, you are a Canadian. Will you come here? You grew up in this country, born in this country. Moved over to Russia as a missionary. You've been a part of our ministry now. You've been ordained in our church. What will you say is the transformation of your life with this encounter, just being a part of this? Maybe it could help your countrymen. Maybe you could help them. Maybe you could help me help them. Maybe I cannot communicate. Maybe you could tell it in their language.
We'd have to go for a coffee for that, being Canadians. Boy, what would I say? I I can say, I remember the first time I walked into Pastor Sunday's church, and you can imagine, I'm a missionary. I'm from Canada. I was feeling kind of proud of myself, I'm going to be real honest. Walking in the places I walked into, I'm a missionary from the Pentecostal Assemblies of Canada, working over there. And I walked into the back of his church, and I saw Pastor Sunday up there, and I saw all these people. Just a massive crowd of people. And everybody sitting right on the edge of their seats, I mean, just right on the edge of their seats. Just eating every word they could get, and excited, and the fervor that they had to do something. It was phenomenal to me. I mean, it's hard for me to explain unless you're there and you've seen it. And to see that hunger. And I had tears welling up in my eyes in the back of the church because I started to think to myself, what in the world have I been doing? What have I been doing? And I guess a little bit of jealousy inside to see one man who'd done so much, and a young man, And fortunately, my jealousy or whatever turned to hunger to know what is it that has made him able to do what he's done. And again, being Canadian, there was that skepticism, just like we all have. We see somebody, we hear them talk, and we think, wait a second, maybe this isn't, is this another Jimmy Baker or another Jimmy Swaggart or another, and listen and watch. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go into Pastor Sunday's office to talk with him. And I just thought to myself, I can't offer you anything right now. I don't have a program to offer you. I don't have a ministry I can offer you. But all I can say is I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And any way I can help you to support in your ministry. But most of all, what I needed was to learn. To change my Canadian sort of mindset and begin to realize that I could really be used to change a nation. And I began to realize with those orphans that I was working with, you know what? God could use me. He could use me to change all the orphans of the country of Ukraine. God could use me to take 5,000 orphans to McDonald's for what? For a nice meal? No. So those kids could know that there is a God who loves them when they were never trained in school even about God. There is a God who loves them that could change their lives, and one of those kids could become president of Ukraine. I believe in my heart that one of those kids will be president someday, and God will use us to change that nation. And sometimes, deep down in my heart, I think about Canada. And Pastor Sunday says, every nation that is going to be brought out of bondage, it's going to take a prophet to do it. And that could be you. In fact, you might be here right now, because God's calling you to change this nation. He could be testing you right now if you're hungry enough, if you're sitting on the edge of your seat enough, if you're willing to pray for 2 or 3 hours a day, every day, when it's easier for you right now, like the rest of us Canadians, to stand in line at Tim Hortons for coffee than it is to pray. I had to be honest enough before Pastor Sunday to admit a lot of things that were going on in my life that weren't right. And that released in me, a hunger inside to do everything God wanted me to do. And not only that, but little things like, seeming little thing. My wife is sitting back there. 14 years I was single, unmarried. And I know God used me during that time, but I went to Pastor Sunday and, I said, I've been thinking about it a lot and praying about it a lot, And you know how I was praying? Lord, can you do this for me? Is there something? And Pastor Sunday said, all you just need a breakthrough through prayer. And not just a regular prayer, but an aggressive prayer. And I began to understand what aggressive prayer was through his ministry and seeing 2,000 people come every Friday night and pray from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning. Every Friday night. I mean, if you see it yourself, you just, man, it was hard for me to pray for an hour. It was hard for me to fast for a day, Now we fast and pray together for 10 days, sometimes 12 days. And it's great, It's the highlight of my year when we get together and do that. That's the highlight of my year now. And
praying for how long did you fast? 10 hours or?
Sometimes we sleep like 3 or 4 hours a night. And the rest of the time we're praying. Like, we'll wake up, we'll get there at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And then go a lot of times from 10 o'clock in the morning right till 3 or 4 o'clock at night. And get back to your room quick. Wake up in the morning again and right back at it again. Now, mind you, it is a little easier to fast when there's 1,000 other people fasting with you. And it's a little easier to pray when there's, 1,000 other pastors doing the same thing. And but God is using that hunger and that fervency of those everybody together. The contagiousness of Pastor Sunday's fervency on everybody else, and it grows and grows and grows and grows. And I believe it'll happen here. I believe that someone here in this church today could be the one that God is choosing to change this nation, to change this country. Someone, what did D.L. Moody say? It's yet to be seen what God can do through one man who is completely sold out to Him, And I've just been very, very fortunate to be able to work with Pastor Sunday, to have him speak into my life in many different ways and to help me. And I believe if no one here is going to take that torch and carry that torch for Canada and start to do some crazy things to change this nation, I'm coming back.
Thank you. My God, my God. Sometimes the only thing we need really is to have an example. And to just say someone who has done it. Someone who has spoken to a nation, who has been heard, whose voice has been heard, who has shaken a nation. And as I was sitting down there hearing Ed, I just felt like, because he's been in that atmosphere. He's no more Canadian. It's a simple thing. It's transformed. And maybe that could help somebody tonight. I just came to my mind that maybe we should just offer to bring people. Maybe Pastor could help us. Fred, no, actually, Ed could arrange that. He's coming all the time to Ukraine and going. Maybe it could be a good idea. Some of you might be hungry. We were in, where was that? Regina with you. Yeah, you come, couple, husband and wife. Oh, they are embarrassed. Oh, don't be, you want to be what? History maker? Well, things happen. You know, we were in Regina, and the same thing. I gave an appeal to people that if you people are interested, come over. You know, if you're really hungry. And I see that hunger in you people, and that's one of the reasons I call you to come, because you people never even knew all the things that we're going to do here, but you saw, we met in Regina. You were touched, I'm sure. You were, I don't know, gospel or what. You were blessed. And they just, instead of going home back to British Columbia here, they just flew here together with me to be here and to stay through all this conference too. You know, because they want to get more or something. They want to get, you know, they really want to go for something. And I think if you are desperate like that, you want to come to the Ukraine or something, let's do it. But before I go on, what would you say? You are getting double blessed now because you've been to that conference and they are here. So yeah, share with us something. You and your wife. Yeah, just pour your heart out to people and.
I love Canada. And it's going to take us getting out of our church boxes to do it. And I guess through the videos, through the speaking, through the challenges. And honestly, I felt the same at the Cell Conference last year here with people from Bogota. I thought, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it, and there's a thing arising in our nation right now with people like Faitine Crisco that did Siege, and there's a thing arising in Canada, but all of us have to arise. And so we really have to get out of our church boxes, though. What was it you said yesterday? I want your mind to crack and then your heart to crack. Well, we've had our minds very cracked. But also, there's just so much. I mean, there was so much at this conference. There was so much about the change in church. I know Dr. Michael Scantlebury is here. He was speaking there as well, of just changing the whole paradigm and going to not just be in your holy huddle, but affecting our society and in these areas of government and the arts and media and culture, education, all these things. And to also speak the destiny into the youth. We have many young people coming and getting saved in our church right now, and I even have them coming to me and going, what do you see for my life? What do you see me doing? Do you think I'm an apostle? Do you think I'm a prophet? And I felt like I was copping out with them. And I was saying, well, you know, you have to seek God, and you want to be an apostle? Well, you're ready for your 3 years in the desert, you know, in the wilderness, like Paul. But I feel that's a cop-out. And this is a really good church here, although I don't know your pastors really well, but I just feel for all the young people here, you need to rise up to your call, like Faitine Crisco and these other young ones. We're having her back in our church to report on what happened in Siege. She went to all the legislatures across and then to Ottawa. And I wrote her an email and said, what has happened? She said, in every capital city, the Lord gave us unusual favor. And the legislators we met with, many of them had tears in their eyes. That's our Canadian MPs, MLAs, and senators. When she went and spoke and she said, we are believing for a Josiah generation, a revolution of righteousness in the young people in this nation. We are believing for that. There's legislators that they spoke with that were crying. We have hope for our nation. But we do all have to rise up to the challenge. So anyway, and getting out of the kind of religious boxes and everything like that. So anyway, last night, that was such a I mean, every service with Pastor Sunday, you're really challenged. I'm really challenged right now. But anyway, last night I was really challenged. And I was up here with all of the young ones jumping. Well, we're all young, right? Just what he said. Yeah, we're really all young at heart. And then my husband said to me, he said, the Lord spoke to him and said, the Lord's going to give you an assignment, and he told me to back you up in what you're going to do. And he said, so what did he speak to you? And I said, wow, and I've just kind of saying, yes, Lord. But in the night, the Lord gave me an assignment. And it's not something I'm even going to talk about right now, but it's something that is definitely out of the pastor's wife box. But I know it's God, and I know, and it's affecting a people group that I really care about. And I just feel like every single person in here has an assignment.
Jesus.
Everyone has an assignment. And if you just open your heart and you say, God, just give me that assignment.
Jesus. Yes.
And don't, what I realized too is a year and a half ago, he started to lay this on my heart. But I thought, well, how can I ever do that? I mean, I have my church responsibilities and all of this. And it's like last night, it's like, and when my husband said to me, he's going to give you something and you go for it and I'm to support you. It's like we have to get out of the religious boxes and go for, you are going to get divine assignments in this generation. That was a divine assignment that Faitine and that team had. And it cost them a lot of money, and he gave them creative ways to fundraise for it. They didn't even know they were fundraising, but they kicked it off in our church, and they had this thing about these t-shirts that were all numbered, and I thought that was a Holy Spirit way of fundraising. She didn't even know it. But their whole thing was just paid for by this thing. Anyway, I've talked enough.
I'll just share for a couple minutes here, but I really feel like my brain was cracked by being around Pastor Sunday. I think for me it started about 2 years ago with an experience in the manifest presence of God, where I just started praying and the presence of God came into the place and totally undid me. And I just wept and wept and wept. And from that place, it put a hunger in me for His presence. And I began to go and pray and spend time and His presence would come. And every time He would come, I would begin to weep. And I just would drink of His Spirit. And we went to China in May of this year, and the people are so hungry. They sat for hours and listened to the Word of God, and they would weep and they would cry out to God in such fervent hunger. And I came home from China, and I tell you, I was broken. I didn't know what to do. I just couldn't go back the same old. And really my heart, it's just, I didn't know what to do. And I was in a dilemma and here we pastor a church, and I'm trying to pastor the church, but really inside I feel like something has to be different. Something has to change. And I said, Lord, I'm not hungry like that. I'm not desperate like that. I need to change. And I think just being in the meetings this week and last week it's like I feel like something's cracked inside, and I think I just want to go home and just start to do some radical things and just begin to not do church like we used to do church, but just to begin to shake things up. And I really believe we are going to be able to impact this whole nation, and not only this nation, but the nations of the world.
Thank you, Pastor. Wow. Of course, I guess you know by now that the speech I gave tonight was impromptu. Like it just came out. I had another message. But as you say, we just need to flow with Him. That's all with Him. Oh, Jesus. Is anybody there really serious about doing something with his life? Is it getting to you? Do you think something is really getting to you? Can I just invite all the people who feel they are really